With tomorrow's Democratic primary begins a new chapter in Providence's fascinating mayoral story. Since the office came to national attention during the long and colorful reign of Vincent Buddy Cianci, the Providence mayoralty has remained an important position in a demographically and politically changing city. To find out more about the importance of the Democratic primary and the race's major candidates, I spoke with Hillary Silver, a professor of sociology and urban studies at Brown University.
The election was called relatively abruptly because we expected David Cicilline to be running for mayor, and he had been unopposed previously. And he towered above all the existing candidates for mayor. So when he withdrew in order to run for Patrick Kennedy's congressional seat, there was a mad scramble for the seat. And there had been several people sitting in the wings interested in becoming mayor. The field was broad, but nevertheless there are three viable candidates in the primary. One of them is more business-oriented, and that's the Costantino candidacy. He's a local businessman who prides himself on his financial expertise, given his work in the state government. And then there is John Lombardi, who has always coveted the mayoralty. He's been in city council for decades, was president of the city council, and had served as acting mayor for a very brief period of time when Buddy Cianci was forced to resign. And waiting in the wings more silently was Angel Tavares, who is a local housing judge, but mostly a lawyer who is active in the Latino community, where his base is the strongest and best, and where he's best known. He hasn't really had any experience in local government per se. So you have these three candidates, and when the opening of this position, when it became free and available, they all rushed in, and Angel Tavares had a head start. People felt that he was the front runner, but in part because of a lackluster performance in campaigning, that's gave an opportunity to the other two candidates I mentioned to come forward.
Though Off the Beat contacted all three of these major candidates, only the Tavares campaign could be reached for an interview. A few weeks ago, I sat down with Angel Tavares to talk about the issues. In the next few minutes, I'll tell you where Costantino and Lombardi stand on the major issues and let Tavares speak for himself. All three candidates recognize the importance of improving education throughout the city. Costantino hopes to make sure schools have proper funding and to turn them into centers for communities to access the social services that they need. Lombardi wants Providence schools to respond to the varying needs of students in our changing neighborhoods and pushes accountability for teachers as well as widening the services delivered by schools. Here's Tavares.
For me, it starts with early childhood education. Because of my experience with Head Start, my classmate at Harvard had also gone to Head Start. Multiple options and pathways for our schools. And that means having schools like the Korean Technical Center, like Hope, like strong charter schools. That's important. Our teachers are important, and we have to make sure we have the very best ones, because we know that the teacher in the front of the classroom is so instrumental in terms of what happens in that classroom and what the child learns. And evaluations are important because in some instances, teachers go several years here without being evaluated. You don't do that in any business, in any job. People are evaluated, consistently, and to go several years, that's simply unacceptable.
The candidates differ in their approaches to job creation. Lombardi's plan centers around a Providence Main Street business exchange designed to develop small businesses. Costantino would have his office work closely with businesses to meet their regulatory, employment, financial, and technological challenges. Here's Tavares.
We have to create jobs in our city, and as mayor, I have to create the environment that makes it easier to create jobs. And we have a plan to do that, focusing on retaining businesses that we have right now, recruiting businesses from outside of the city. And I say city because we can recruit businesses. We can recruit businesses from outside of Providence to come into Providence, and not only outside of Providence in terms of locally, but obviously out of state, and reforming the way that we do business here. If we can create jobs, if we can grow our economy, that's going to address a lot of the issues that we face right now. and it will make it a lot easier for us to move the city forward.
Though Costantino and Lombardi are experienced public servants, Taveras' service history is, for better or for worse, briefer. I asked him if he has the experience to negotiate the complex political terrain of Providence, so he could respond to these concerns himself.
I'm a litigator. A lot of what I do is negotiating. I recognize that litigation is expensive, and so negotiating is so much more important. And I've been negotiating for a long time with people from all different walks of life, complex problems, and it's something that I'm welcoming. I look forward to. I also know a lot of some of the other leaders in our cities, and I think that I'm in a good position to make sure that we can negotiate and solve some of these complex problems.
Providence's next mayor will have to deal with the city's troubled fiscal state, a challenge that may require reconsidering the local tax arrangements with nonprofits, such as universities and hospitals. Though Costantino doesn't address nonprofits in his stance on the city's fiscal health, Lombardi notes that the money coming in from nonprofits isn't enough. Here's what Taveras thinks.
We all have an interest in our city. We all need the city to be successful. All of us. And including people who don't even live in Providence. Providence is really the center and the heart of Rhode Island. And it's something I've talked a lot about, and I will continue to do that so that people understand you have an interest. We're all, our destinies are intertwined. And the nonprofits are key to our city, and they need the city to be successful. We need nonprofits to be successful. We're codependent, and we have to understand that if we do, we can figure out ways to work together to solve our problems. If we don't, then we have to pursue other alternatives, which I hope it doesn't come to that. But what I want to do is really figure out ways for us to help each other.
So that's where the candidates stand on a few of the major issues in this election. But in case the idea of a primary election doesn't make you feel like you need to vote, think again. Here's Professor Silver.
I think it's fair to say that the Democratic primary in Providence elections really is where all the action is. Whoever wins the Democratic primary is almost certain to win the mayoralty, and the Republican Party in Providence, in the city of Providence, but also, quite frankly, in the state as well, tends to be a very shrunken animal.
As Democrats across the city tomorrow make their voices heard, we at Brown Student Radio hope that you will too. Reporting for Off the Beat, this is Ben Tucker.